All right. Good morning. Good morning. It is 6:31. It is March 12th. Hopefully everyone's feeling well. It is CPI day. Let me just take a look and put this up real quick to make compliance happy. That's our disclosure. Okay, take a quick look at it, and now we can take it off. Again, my name is Scott Redler, the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. Welcome to today's 6:30 Club. Let's see if we can get the comments here so I can say hello to some of my dogs around the world. What up, EK? What up, Space? What up, Option Wrap? How you guys feeling today? Here we are. You got the futures up about 13 handles ahead of the CPI, but a lot could change after a little bit of consolidation, after a little bit of rotation. What up, North Dakota? What up, Mississippi? How we doing, Thob? What up, Gerd? Look at that. We're got Spain in the house. We got a little bit of Malago, P-Train. How could you say that? Anyway, hope everyone's feeling well. It is a new day. Lots kind of going on right now as far as, you have Oracle up, taking out that gap in the high end of the range. You have on cloud. Guidance wasn't great, but you know what? We started playing that stock at 28 and went to 35. We made really good money in the stock, rolled up the options 3 different times. So, to lose on the last 30, it is what it is. That's what earnings plays are. They're kind of a flip of the coin. So we move on. Anyway, what's up, Indiana? How you doing, Biopharma? What up? It's always, front and center. If you go here, there's your chart of the SPYs. Have a bit of a range here, right? On if you use a system, a tier system, and navigate it, you could always sell into strength, buy a dip, manage positions. And if you look here on Friday, we had one of those red dog reversal sells where it pushed above 515.89, went to 518.22, reversed. So if you reduced the risk on that, you came in yesterday, you had a little lower stress, right? And then what we do yesterday, put a low in at 508, and then now there's 511. If you look here, SPYs are up $1.29. Again, a lot could change here. Can you guys hear me, by the way? I have a new microphone. You guys want to see the new microphone? It's like one of those professional microphones now. So I know there was a lot of background noise. So I just want to know, Bobby 4.0 is always honest. How does this microphone sound? Does it sound clear? Sound okay? Bulldog says it sounds okay. Raj says it's so. Is it better than the other one, or not? Do I have to talk into it like this? Hello, hello, or can you guys hear me back? All right, sounds great. There we go. All right. So anyway, so here the SPYs up $1.29. I sold on Friday. I sold some premium higher as a hedge, and I didn't really do a whole lot yesterday. I have a bunch of options on massaging. I did trade Nvidia, made some cash flow, but I'm still kind of keeping it light because I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen here. Usually, you have a top end of the range, a bottom, then all of a sudden, we develop a new little channel for, a little bit of time, and then the stock market, makes a new high here. But to be honest, I am not so sure what the case is, over the next few weeks. We'll see a little bit more. If we have a hot CPI today, a lot could change. But here's your new range now. You have a high, here's your low, here's the bottom third of it, here's like the top third of it. So we'll see, how does it get navigated. If you go with the Qs, you can do the same thing. The Qs put a high in, 448.64. Okay, and then if you sold into that strength after a move from the 21 day, you were able to navigate. And then yesterday we put a low in at 435. That's your new point of reference. Here is also another one. And then this was the spot I said, hey, if sellers want to reject price, over the next day or so, because usually you have a reversal, then you try and snap back. And if the bears don't have power, you penetrate higher. If the bears could reject price, hey, then maybe you get a little bit of an H sell set up. But for now, kind of hard to tell. I'm kind of indifferent. I don't have a whole lot going on. I've had like 10, 12, 15 positions during so much of this move. And at this point now, where we are within the scheme of it, actually, if we go to the SPYs, you go to the weekly chart, you kind of say, hey, maybe it is a little time to pull back a little bit. Like, look, here's your weekly chart of the SPYs. So for me, after this was really your igniting bar. This was your spot to say, hey, it's time to put on a little bit of risk, manage an active sequence, look for leaders, use your tier system, manage positions. And then, here kind of looked like it was going to be over, and it wasn't. That candle took it out. Then we took out that 479. And now the question is up here, what's going to happen? Are we going to go sideways and then digest and then take that out? Or are we going to finally break this little ascending channel here and, and get some kind of corrective phase? It's hard to tell. So when it's hard to tell, you let the market do discovery. At this point, feel like, some traders are a little lost. I wouldn't say I'm lost right now, but, I don't know how long it's going to take for Nvidia, AMD, SMCI to digest, if money flowing to some of the other Mag 7s that were weak for a month. So it's kind of hard to tell. So at this point, if you look at Nvidia, you have this big topping tail, 973. Then you had an 841 low. Here was yesterday's high. Probably needs more time. Yesterday there was some good trades. We talked about 840, 850 holding. I caught a nice trade from there. It went green, and then it kind of ran out of gas. And now all of a sudden, Nvidia is opening up, 15 points, 873. So where is that? That's below 887, above 865. So it's kind of no man's land still, So the question is, how long is it going to take to rebuild? You still have that AI keynote that, Jensen's giving next week. So there's, there could still be some optimism around there. So what happened is the reason why the market's up a little bit is because of Oracle. Oracle, I posted this yesterday. Look how tight Oracle was. Unfortunately, I was a little busy because I just didn't play it. But, wound up taking out 114, took out 117, and even, kind of cleared this, this upper area. If you look at Oracle right now, Oracle is, came out and they actually talked about the demand, and it was pretty impressive. So where's Oracle right now? So Oracle, filled this gap, which was the first thing that people were playing for. And then you have 126, 127. It's a little bit above it. So Oracle's going to have to hold above it. And then now all of a sudden this is going to turn into a different gap where, if you read the gap, what's it called? Ebook that we have. If we get above, hey, maybe there'll be a play above, Microsoft trying to get above the 21-day. Tony says, good morning. After a big meal, need a long time to digest. That's true, right? You go to a steak restaurant, you have a nice porterhouse, cream spinach, maybe some baked clams. Chances are you're not having a big dessert, and the next day you might eat a little. By the way, I fasted all day yesterday. So cheers. Every now and then what I like to do, is fast on a Monday into Tuesday just to kind of refresh. And I definitely try not to drink Monday through Wednesday. Clean the system out. But anyway, that's what I do. Oracle is right. So, people like Red Dog, what's the pecking order now for the Mag 7? Because it keeps adjusting. So, Meta was really strong and then got hit hard yesterday, right? So, that kind of changed things. Thank goodness it was loose and wide from Friday. So I don't know many people from the Alpha team that were really in it. And then now you have, I got to update this. I haven't traded this in a while. It's been pretty loose and wide. So I know some analysts came out and said, hey, Trump says it's anti-American for Facebook, but what's me, mom, pop going to do? That's what they look at all their news for, or their family stuff. But anyway, I'll do this chart a little bit later. I'm still not really interested here. But again, this has been the strongest name, and then all of a sudden, boom, just like that, 2 days of risk just happens. So if it can happen there, it can happen anywhere. Same way. So some people are like, do I think Amazon's over? I don't think Amazon's over. I don't. But it was in the camp of like the haves, So I have the 180 calls on. It's probably not going to work unless this candle gets engulfed. You did get a Red Dog reversal sell. I came in with like no shares of things yesterday. I have some leftover options. So yesterday I lost a little bit of money, but that was after a massive run. You could judge my kind of sentiment on the market by how many positions that I have. But last week I lined up a lot. So if I feel like if I miss something because it's unsure, I'm fine with it. So we'll see what happens here. Does it take back this candle and pop back in? I don't know. You did get some flows in Apple. So I'm going to tell you a little story about Apple. Okay, yesterday, all I know is that a lot of people were talking because Apple finally had this like little 2-day move, right? And everyone's like, I hear people talking on TV, they're going after the non-quality names. I'm like, non-quality? I'm like, Apple's one of the best goddamn companies in America, yeah, their PE got a little high and it wasn't where the action was, but you can't call Apple, low quality because it just hasn't moved for a month or two. If you look here at the weekly chart, all it's been doing really is trying to, consolidate and channel a big move. Like here, after this move to 183, it came in, wasn't low quality, just needed to correct. And then it made a lower high. And then right here is when it broke that little descending channel and made a new high. So this was the leader from February all the way up to the highs here in July, made a new high while nothing else did. And now, it gave you a way to get out of the way right here, right? And now what it's doing, it's building a channel to what I think could be, another move at some point, whether it's 3, 6, or 9 months. So you have to know your time frame. So this is not where you should be actively trading if you trade for a living, if you're looking to get paid in March. But it doesn't mean it's low quality that if you were an investor, you did just fine in Apple, and chances are you'll do again. And I think a lot of people are getting numb to their AI talk, but from what I'm hearing from some institutional guys, that their AI is going to be pretty damn impressive in June, and that you were going to get another type of upgrade cycle. And if that's the case, just don't lose sight of Apple. Yes, we want to see it act better, but I'd like to see for Apple, in order for me to get, really more involved, is hold here, take out 174, and let this start a new active sequence. Because right now the active sequence is to the downside. So if that's the case, you don't want to just focus here, but chances are maybe it changes a little bit. We'll see. Again, where the action's been is to be long Nvidia, right? Nvidia has been above the 8-day. It's been trending. It's been awesome. Okay, so this has been where the action is ever since taking out this 505 to start the year, which was a great focus. Okay, so sometimes the action changes. AMD has been where the action is, until you had this big top until. Remember this day? That was a great day. That was a day that told us to be, hey, really long, AMD. And then we had to move from 184 to 228 before the red dog reversal. So anyway, now this also needs a little bit of time. Listen, too bad Apple no longer the innovator, lost a cutting edge. Again, I think people are going to sleep on it, and then all of a sudden we're going to turn around, and then Apple's going to be back in an active sequence, and the narrative on Apple's going to change, and everyone will be like, oh, yeah, look at their phone now, look at their AI. It's awesome now. But anyway, it's all good. So we'll see how that, we'll see what happens there. Maybe it's a switch. At this point, everything's kind of going to go through a little bit of, a rebalance, right? Some people are like, well, Red Dog, you did awesome with gold. Thank you so much. What now? Well, look at the move gold had. Gold, this was where finally, it took off, and that's when we got long the GLD. We put on a nice call spread and went to 203, and now this probably needs some time. If you look at the weekly chart, you have to match up with the monthly chart. All you finally had is a big breakout of this cup and handle pattern, and it looks like it's going to 220, but it might take 6 months to get to 220. So depending on your type of approach is how you want to go with it. At this point now, it kind of looks like gold, might want to do a little work above 200 and let the moving averages catch up. But again, we can time these things because that's what we do for a living to get paid. Some people are like, well, Red Dog, what do you think of silver? Silver probably needs a little time. It's lagging. Listen, if this was a tech sector, I would not be playing it. I don't like to go for laggards. But if the tech sector continues for months, usually everything gets brought up. So right now, I do like silver. We started playing silver down here. So I've already made good money on options in silver, and I've rolled them up. And we'll see next week or the few weeks after. It's cool. So I think this is fine. This is the daily chart. And then if you go to the weekly chart, it's still kind of nowhere. It hasn't even gotten to the downtrend. And if you look at the monthly chart looks really good, right? Look at this, nice, wedge type pattern. Remember that huge, crazy move? That was a long time ago. I was trading during that time. That was when Hunt Brothers coined the market. But anyway, So anyway, it's just if you're asset allocating, it's fine. Listen, I remember a month ago, you guys remember a month ago when I was buying the KWEB calls, it hit a low, and then everyone's like, KWEB's China's uninvestable. Okay, well now a month later, you had a decent move in KWEB and China names, and now everyone's warming up. That's the way sentiment is. So anyway, if you switch some of your asset allocation to China, like we talked about in December, for the next 2 years, monthly flows, I think it outperforms a lot of other countries. But anyway, that's just part of the process. Same thing with silver and gold. We said the same thing in December. Allocate a bit more to gold, not silver. I didn't say silver then. Boom. And even Bitcoin's been awesome. Bitcoin right now got above 70,000. So if you're in Bitcoin, congratulations, you made good money. I do think Bitcoin is definitely, played with that 69,000 enough that this time it holds it. Remember the first time went to 69 and had to flush everyone to 59, and then tried again last week. And now, with a little bit of sideways action, chances are it can continue. Let's hope it holds that to keep the momentum. I do have some BITO calls on that I'm still staying with for April. But all in all, Bitcoin has been awesome for so many people. And I did tell you, 3 weeks ago with Mara, I haven't traded Mara since before earnings, because I'm like, guys, the halving is not good for the miners. If you have the amount of Bitcoin out there, it costs them not much more money to mine them to get them. That means higher costs, lower margins. They're not the same. And then Mara, kind of diverged from it, sort of riot. So we stopped playing it. You got to know things like that. And you have to have your system. A lot of people like Red Dog, I went out with ONON, okay, on cloud. The way I play things into earnings is I usually play a pre-move if it's going to beat. And we started with on cloud at 28. On this day, we bought the $30 calls and the stock into here, sold the $30 calls for like $4, 300%, and a third of the stock. Stayed with it into here. I'm like, okay, now I'm done with the stock, okay, which was 20%. And into here, we bought the $33 calls for the same price I paid for the $30 calls. Then into this, I'm like, you know what? I'll take I bought them for $1.80. I'm selling them for $3. And I'll just, in for numbers, I'll take the 35s by 39s. So the 35s were like $2. The 39s were $1. So I'm risking $1 to stay in the play just in case. And now ONON is down $4. And those options won't work. So we'll move on. So if you have a system and you're on top of things, you can make a lot of money before the binary event. If you just throw sugar honey iced tea against the wall and not manage things, you're going to have a lot of slippage. So anyway, kind of sucks. Anyway, with that being said, we'll move on. I probably won't play that stock for a while. There'll be a gap down, and that'll be that. I'm glad Portnoy took his off yesterday, so he was able to make a good whatever percentage. So he won't be bantering. But anyway, Baba. Yeah, Baba looks okay. Here, let's go to KWEB real quickly. KWEB is just coming up to its downtrend. Down here, everyone called China uninvestable, and this is when we were cost averaging into a lot of those calls. And then now, it seems like that there's more room here. Right? That was the asset allocators thing. Let's go to the weekly chart. I think you can see it a little bit better. This was like China still hasn't gone anywhere. The K was 104, 82, 67 if you sold it during those points, and now it's just hanging here. Chances are I think this winds up getting back towards 36 at some point, into I don't know how long it's going to take, but I would think it can get to the 2. Yeah, this still looks good. China, to me, feels like if you're an asset allocator, hopefully you went there, and if you're a trader, you got to give it. My options expired on March 15th, so I kind of got out and didn't maximize the play, but I think you can go out another month or two, and chances are 28 to 36. Why not? Baba does look a little bit better, but it's a pain in the butt. JD is what really triggered for people, with this big gap up and it stayed above it. What's Baba doing? Baba's been such a pain. Yeah, you can get up to the 200-day, but it's sloppy. Anyway, yeah. Well, if you took the stock, it was a gamble. If you took options, risk is premium paid. It's not a big deal. Let's see what else is acting decent today. All right, so you want me to do Microsoft. Microsoft's interesting because Microsoft wasn't really making higher highs recently, so it wasn't like it was like Meta. Meta made a higher high last week. Netflix made a higher high last week. Microsoft has been in this channel for a little while now, where you would think that over time, this could get going again. It takes time to consolidate. So you have 420, 417, 410. You have a low here. Remember this 397, 398 held. Then this 404 just held. So it's up a little bit. I still think it needs time, but Microsoft's like middle ground out of that Magnificent Seven, and they kind of all, they're just discombobulated a little bit. So I would think Microsoft's something that could get better if the market wants leaders to get better. But again, at this point, I still feel like you could do less. I'm doing less. I made it to my high watermark on Friday, the highs of my month, the highs of my quarter, the highs of my year, the highs overall. So at that point, I was like, I'm not exactly sure which way we're going to go here. I even got rid of my IBM. IBM was great, from the post-earnings move. At this point, what do I think about Lilly? I think the same thing. The high valuation winners just got sold down. The question is, how long are they going to be sold down for? And look at the difference. Lilly, was like probably one of our best power plays to start the year here at 587, and then it gave a higher high above here and continued, and now it just broke its trend. So it lost the 8-day, and now it lost the 21-day. So the question is now, what type of corrective phase does it get to? Maybe it gets to the 50-day. And then on the flip side, they went for the losers of the last year or so, and they went for Pfizer. How Pfizer, which has been caught in this downtrend from 50 all the way down, finally got a little traction. So the question is, how long is this going to last? So, in the last 2 days, you saw some kind of, just rebalance where the strong stocks that have been the winners started a corrective phase. The question is, how long does that last? And some of the laggards that have been underperforming, gave you some cash flow, but the chances are, how long is that going to go? Anyway, so with that being said, I'm going to just let the market kind of settle in here. I am not so sure that all of a sudden the spies are going to be taking out this 518 this week. And we'll know more after the CPI. At this point, I'm very light. I have some leftover options. I've taken most off, and we'll see. You have your range, 518, 508. We're right now above 511.88. A lot of that could change at 8:30. Do we have a hot CPI or not? Then this is the next spot right there. So anyway, at this point, I'm just going to take it slow, not have any FOMO, try and figure out where the flows are going, and see where we go from here. Because at this point, if someone's going to tell you they exactly know where things are going from here, chances are they're lying through their what. So at this point, I'm just going to say, hey, if I miss a few things, I don't care. I'd rather let the dust settle, let some trends start to really show themselves, and see where we could go with for new active sequences, if there will be new active sequences. And at this point, maybe things don't change. If you remember SMCI, for instance, when it had that big outside candle, remember that huge outside candle? Remember, we made a lot of money shorting premium. Took 2 days to rebuild to then make a higher high, right? So with Nvidia, what's going to happen here? How many days? You had your big reversal after a huge trend move. So the question now is, how long is it? You don't even need this anymore. This kind of doesn't make sense. So now you have 841, 887. And the question is, does this, after a little bit of time, will it take out 887 and start to go again? Low, this could be a higher low. Now this could be a higher low. And the question is, how long is it going to take out 973? Could be 2 weeks. It could be 2 months. So at this point, I think the easy money there is done. So now I would suggest tactically approaching it in a more wait and see method. You can't just blindly short it, but I do think, it's going to be a little trickier to use your tier system and stay with that move. What number is considered hot? Dan is asking me, Dan Gabriel on the CPI. I would say 3.2 is hot. Under 3, I think the market, IWM goes, XBI goes. Above 3.2, I do think that, you know, people are going to take a step back and say, hey, inflation's a little sticky here. You know, the Fed's not lowering rates till June, and then maybe the move that happened on Friday, that little bearish engulfing candle, gets a little commitment to it, and we get a little further downside. So we'll see. All right, 656, I got to jump. Sorry, no more for you. Usually I have some like really like A-plus plays that I'm excited about right now. You know, more excited about sitting on cash, you know, not having that much involvement, and in wait and see mode where I'm not in harm's way of giving back a third of my March or of my quarter, where, you know, for the last, you know, been pretty consistent, you know, for the past, at least even the last 4 weeks, really good 4 weeks, especially in Nvidia and some of those, and we threaded that needle well by getting out of the way on Friday. Now we'll see if today's strength holds or not. 8:30 is going to be key. Maybe I'll post some charts at 9 o'clock once the dust settles a little bit. Good luck today, guys.